Teens and drugs with, of course, Binny Sharma, who is an adolescent mental health consultant, a mental strength coach, and a teen mentor. Welcome to the show, Binny, once again, because we've had you before last year, I think.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure to have you back here with us again.
Thank you so much, Bhargav. Thank you so much, Radio 44. I'm so humbled to be here. Especially this topic needs to be addressed.
Correct, exactly. That was actually what I was going to say. You know, as the morning fix and in the hot takes, we like to talk about things that many people are afraid of or they don't know how to. So we want to break that, and we want to tell you the reasons, or even make you ask questions, because we have Binny with us here in the studio. So let's jump right into it. Firstly, why do you think the consumption of drugs is increasing, especially with the teens? We've seen recently Aryan Khan making the headlines, right? So what would you have to say about this?
Let me begin by saying that it is one of the fastest growing epidemic in adolescence, the use of drugs, vaping, alcohol. So it's time that we open our eyes to it. Before I even begin as to why I think, or the professionals in the world think, that the consumption is high, let me share as a teen mentor. When I do this sessions with the teenagers and we ask them, why do you do it? And that's why I actually today made notes, and there are 13 reasons why, from teens, from their perspective as to why they do it. So I want to read that out for parents and the community to understand. So according to them, they lean in towards drugs for loneliness, depression, to look good, to have fun, a sense of inclusion, to experience it, boredom, rebelling, acting out, trauma response.
Wow.
I mean, these are their words. These are exactly their words. Unhealthy coping. Because it's normalized to feel older and responsible. Now think about, sometimes a kid as young as 12 would see a dad, vaping, and in that 12-year-old's perspective, it looks cool. It looks that they're responsible. So that's the image they carry, to distract themselves. Freedom, liquid courage, their words.
Wow.
Liquid courage, and to escape reality. These are their words, and it's important we as adults, as community, as parents, as teachers, listen to what they have to say in this.
Right. So do you think it's affecting them in a way that, because of all the 13 reasons that you've given, one or the other is definitely making them lean towards either drugs, vaping, or alcohol? How do you think that the society as a whole should actually jump in and be worried about this, or take care, or not make them go onto that path, even if they're facing these 13 reasons? How do they stop them or try and restrict them from?
So I would again remind each of us that at all times be curious. Okay, when you are curious, you go into the why, as to why they are doing it. And this is where, from the world of experts and professionals, we need to understand that each of us have the inherent need to feel connected, to be seen, to be heard,
correct,
to be validated. And every time we are not feeling that, even as adults, every time that we are not feeling that, we try to look for some sort of distraction to fill in the emotional lack.
So true.
So if we start opening our eyes and we become aware about what are we lacking as individuals in the space of emotions, and if we try to fill in with abundance, if we try to make them feel loved, make them feel validated, make them feel heard, connect with them, engage with them. When was the last time any of us thought of creativity and enthusiasm when it came to teenagers? It's all about academic pressures. It's all about what grades did you get. It's all about, are you doing your this way? Are you always on your phone? So if you're doing all of that, where is the space for them to be seen, heard, validated, connected, engagement?
Nowhere.
Right? So one of the biggest thing is we need to start coming back to ground level and just do the fundamentals of connecting better.
Correct. Wow. But let's talk about what we're here to talk about, the teens and drugs. We're still in conversation with Binny Sharma. You did mention about the 13 reasons why teens actually drift towards alcohol, drugs, vaping, smoking, all of that. Now, let me ask you a question. At what age do you think teens start getting attracted towards drugs? Is there a particular age that all these 13 reasons, or one of these 13 reasons, hits them really hard, and that's when they drift towards this?
Yeah. So this question has a lot of layers. So I'll start with the first one, that between 9 and 19 is the age of adolescence. This is also the time when your prefrontal cortex is not completely developed. Now, prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain which is the CEO of your brain, from where you start making rational decisions. Now, imagine if this is not completely developed and it's fully developed by the age of 25. That means children between the 9 and 19 are using their amygdala, which is the emotional part of the brain, to make most of their decisions.
Right.
That means impulsive behavior is there in every child. It's nothing to do with your environment, right? So from that perspective, again, if you look at it, they start as early as 11 and 12. The culture of vaping, the curiosity towards that can start as early as 10, 11 and 12. I'm going to share some statistics that's going to completely blow your mind. Just in this city, okay, in my opinion, about 85% of 15 to 17-year-olds have tried vaping at least once.
Wait, 85?
Yep.
85% of 15 to 17-year-olds?
Yep.
Wow, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
And that just in Nairobi.
In Nairobi, I can it's coming from a place of awareness because of the work that I do. But look at the toilets in Village Market. Look at the washrooms in malls. Go to Karura Forest. You find group of teenagers. Go to National Park. Go to the toilets and washrooms in schools. There's yet to be a single school where there hasn't been an episode. And this I'm talking about at least tried once. I'm saying 70% of 15 to 17-year-olds are vaping.
Are addicted to it.
Yeah, are vaping. And the addiction comes because, number one, it's nicotine.
Right.
Number two, your brain is not completely developed. So you are prone for impulsive behavior, and it looks glamorous, it looks cool. Even the advertisements that are done is like thin people smoking. The way it is marketed, now this is important, the way it is marketed is in Skittles flavor. So you have berry gums, strawberry flavors, blueberry crush. And I'll take it a step forward. The way it is being marketed, the way it is being sold, you have to understand any of the products need to have a certain safety measures, a standard procedures, a certain authority to be given before they start selling it. Vaping is one thing which hasn't cleared those standards. It's just being sold without, so people don't even know.
Yeah.
It took us 7,000 years to understand that tobacco causes cancer of all sorts. This has been just about a decade. So it's going to take a longer time to know what kind of first-hand impact it is doing. Right? So when I say about 15 to 17 years, I'm going to say about 12 to 14-year-olds, 60% have tried to vape at least once.
Wow.
60%.
Wow. That's a huge number, and it's a scary number.
It's scary.
It is a scary number, because what happens when they grow older now?
They get addicted.
Exactly. And they might feel that, okay, I did a small thing when I was in my teens. Now I think I can move to bigger things,
Yeah.
And then go into drugs, alcoholism, and it's scary.
It's I know I'm laughing, but it's coming from a place of sadness. It's irony that when we are talking about celebrity kids doing it, when this came out, the same weekend,
Yeah.
in our own city's backyard, there was a party going on. 16, 17-year-olds having LSDs, Molly, cocaine.
Here,
Weed.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
let's not even go outside. I'm telling you, as parents, let's embrace the imperfections. Let's open our eyes to the situation that is. Let's not be in denial.
Yeah.
Let's just understand that this is happening.
Okay, and correctly you spoke. Let's not be in denial. Let's look into it. How do you think the parents, all the society, the adults, the teachers, your mentors, or how can they prevent this from happening with their teenagers?
It's interesting when I ask this to children, when I ask this to teenagers, that what can we do better? The only thing that appears is give us a safe space. Give us a safe space for us to be who we are, how we are, without judgment, without comparisons. Give us a safe space to be ourselves. And question is, are we doing that? Are we doing that? Are we looking at teenagers from a place of compassion? Are we looking at teenagers from a place of curiosity that, what's going on? Let's understand. Or are we constantly badgering them with judgments and comments and comparison? So the number one thing parents can do is come to their level, become a 17-year-old. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were 17? Did you do something even remotely silly, which you look back and say, oh my God, what was I thinking? And if that's the case, then become that 17-year-old and ask them what's going on. I'm going to give a metaphor here, and I would want the parents and the community to remember that when you are at a race, okay, imagine yourself at the start line and the referee is going to blow the whistle and you're just down waiting for him to blow and run. Now think about your children. They are at least about 300 meters ahead of you.
Right.
That's the reality. They know better. They have much more wisdom. You may think you have it all, you don't. They are much more aware of the world they are getting into. We are not. So the way we immediately look at them, that they know better, that means we are giving them an equal power dynamic there and listening to them. That's number one thing as parents we need to do. We need to back off from our high chair and say we know it all. We need to come down to their level. We need to understand where they are coming from. And from there we begin this journey. And there's always going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
But we have to be perseverant.
Still in conversation with Binny Sharma, and we are all about teens and drugs. In fact, I've got a message, anonymous message, who is a recovering alcoholic, by the way. But then they went on to say mental pressures and stresses are extremely hard to talk to the older generation about, because they say, if we've been through it, why can't you? And I've heard this myself firsthand. I have heard this as well. So that does affect the child mentally. Like, hey, when I was your age, forget even about you shifting towards drugs or alcohol abuse or anything of that sort. Take for example, fitness. Even that, they were like, why are you being lazy right now? When I was your age, I could do this, I could do that.
Exactly.
It does affect the teens.
In my opinion, first of all, thank you so much to the anonymous person who wrote this. Let's call him the hero of today for us.
Yes.
I think it's very brave for him to share what he shared. In my opinion, this is one of my biggest struggles with parents. I tell them, when I say no comparisons, I always remind them, when you say in our times is a comparison. And what happens when they do that? When they do that, the first message they are giving their child is, you're not good enough. So it's not only comparison to other people, other kids, it's also comparison to your times. So it's like us telling our parents that, okay, but look at that uncle, he is probably 5 times richer than you. We can't do that, right? But it's sometimes so sad and senseless in a way to remind a child what you did, because the times are not same.
Yeah.
They're absolutely not the same. And I'll give you a small example on body shaming. I know this is different from the topic, but a small example on body shaming. When we were growing up, it was very easy for us to call someone chotu, motu, because it's only between 5 people or a small group of friends. Right now, a name like that will be stuck to you because of the social media.
Exactly.
Right? So it's that bad. So you cannot, I think the generation of ours will not even first hand understand the struggles of an adolescent of today. That's where I'm saying that gap is so high, and if the parents don't come down from their high chair, and I'm so sorry if I sound mean here, but that's exactly how it is, that if they don't come down from their high chair, if they don't equalize the power dynamics between the child and themselves, we are heading towards doom. Yeah.
Yep, correctly put. And talking about doom, we faced a crisis from 2020, and that's the pandemic, of course. Do you think it affected teenagers, them studying from home, or, not studying at all, and then resorting to drugs, smoking, vaping, alcohol, and also, apart from all of that, how did it affect them mentally? Because not many people talk about what happened to the teenagers. Everyone's talking about work, business. All that took a hit, economy took a hit, but what about people who are in their adolescence?
So I'm going to quote the President Barack Obama, where he said that the 9 to 19 years of age, the adolescents were the most affected during pandemic, and I stand by that, number one, because I've seen it firsthand in my experience. So they're the most affected, and they were the least least attention given to that segment. So they were the most ignored and most affected. So let me put it this way, that one of the things I remind parents is put a blanket on these 2 years for children as far as the academic pressures are concerned. And I'll tell you why. Academic pressure is number one stressor for children and adolescents. In Japan, if I were to say, in the month of September, highest amount of adolescent suicide happens. Why? Because that's the term school opens.
Right.
So if academic pressure is number one, if during pandemic kids are studying from home, it's a complete new space for them.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's exhausting, and everybody learns at a different pace. However, the pressures remain the same. The school still wanted the same results. The parents still wanted the same results. The parents, children, all staying under one roof. What are they exactly going through? Imagine the power dynamics where they are constantly told what to do or what they are not doing well, and all the great parts about school and education was taken away, like sports, connection, meeting friends, having fun. And the worst parts of education were on their face, and they had to do it. So how are they dealing with it? Their mental health dipped at the worst time, to be honest. Number two, I want to tell that every time they are going through something overwhelming, the first thing they will resort to is a distraction and an unhealthy coping, and which is vaping and alcohol and drugs.
Yeah.
So it has affected them. You have to look into that side. It's yes, as adults we have dealt with it, but it's time now we focus on to how do we make this easier for our adolescent, for the next generation.
Correct. And as I'll still go back, the numbers say it all. So now is the right time, as Binny has put it, now is the right time for you to come down a bit, understand what your child is going through, and try and think when you are at that age, what were you doing and how you dealt with things.
Exactly.
Right? But don't compare, please. Let's just stop this comparison. Someone got this grade, someone got that grade. Good for you.
In fact, if I may just add one more thing here, every time you're doing that, every time you're telling your child, why can't you do it, we did it, you've lost him.
Correct.
He's closed the door on you. He's not listening.
Yeah,
so you've lost him.
Exactly. So let's try and listen to them and also be heard. Thank you so much, Binny, for coming to our studios. It was a pleasure. But before you go, I have one last question for you. What would you want to say to a teen who is, under the influence of alcohol, drugs, smoking, or vaping, and is completely addicted to it?
The first thing I'll say is, I'm sorry, my child. We failed you.
No.
Okay, on behalf of every parent, on behalf of every person of my generation, the first thing I would say, and from a space of humility, that we didn't know better, we failed you, but now we are here to listen to you, we are here to make it better for you. Number two, I'm going to say it's never that serious. Yes, what you're dealing with is dark, scary, overwhelming. The only thing you need to do is take that first step and ask for help. I'm there on most of the Insta pages. I think in the world of teens, people do know me. Just reach out, just call, and let's take it from there. Number three, and the most important here, I'm going to use Deepak Chopra's one of the spiritual laws of success, and that's what I actually do in my sessions with children, is that each of us have the power of spontaneous right decision making. Now, when I say spontaneous right decision making, it means every moment you're given a choice. Every moment you're given a choice, whether you're with your friends, your peer pressure, wherever. In that moment, you need to ask yourself, does this make me happy? Number two, will this make my parents happy? And number three, will this serve me 10 years from now? So for anything in your life, as adults, as children, if you follow by this rule of every minute asking yourself, is this making me happy? Will this make my parents happy? And will this serve me 10 years from now? You will always have the power to choose right for yourself in that moment.
Super.
Yes.
Super. Well, lovely to have you here once again in the
So
studio.
humbled.
Thank you so much for coming in and for sharing all this. And you can still find Binny on Instagram. Binny Empowers is her handle. And if you have any more questions for us, hit us up and we will relay it to her 0758 123